Hey YouTubers, my name is dchappell. I am of Style Prescription, and this is Joan Kosmichuk from dchappellcolor.com. And today we're talking about seasonal color analysis. What is it and how can you benefit from it? I learned about seasonal color analysis. It was a breakthrough for me. And what is seasonal color analysis, Joan?
So in around the late 1940s or the 1950s, a woman named Suzanne Cahill had a bit of an epiphany. She is, I would say, was a woman who was a bit of a visionary, and she started to observe that within nature itself, with everything that is out there, a tree, a flower, a plant, an animal, that as you look at it, the colors of that object are harmonious within itself. So a tree, for example, it's the bark, the leaf, even the blossom that comes out on that tree, the colors are all harmonious within itself. And she started to think about it and had a vision that if that was true of nature, things in nature, animals and flora and fauna, then how much more true would that be of human beings? And she was so taken with this concept that she decided to explore it and to see if really that could be proved to be true. And so she started to work with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women and even men, and to see what were the patterns of harmony. And as she was, each person she discovered was harmonious within themselves. But then as she went on, she discovered that, people just sort of naturally fell into one of four groupings. And since she had gotten this idea from nature, she decided to call each of those groupings by the seasons, because actually the colors connect to the seasons. And that started to form this idea, which soon became something that she taught, which was that each of us is connected to a single season in nature, and that from that we can learn about the qualities of color that will be best for us and the line of design that will work best for our body, etc. And so, it's just a fascinating concept and idea, very new, cutting edge back in the 1950s, and it just grew to the point where she actually wrote a book about it in the 1980s.
In fact, we have that book right here. It's called Color, the Essence of You. And this was really a culmination of Suzanne's life work. She really thought that, human beings, they related to the seasons of the year. And then she showed in her book how nature and humans come together. So for example, here we have a page, and of course, this was this book was published in 1980. But you notice how those women, they're like that. She shows how they relate to the autumn season. And then here, for example, we have these women who relate to the season of winter, right? So very powerful. And by wearing your personal colors, what would that do for a person?
So it creates sort of an authentic story, because this is the coloration that you were born with. And interestingly enough, you and I are both springs.
Spring.
But you can see that, there's no type here. It's not like every spring has blonde hair and, green eyes, or is, got dark skin and dark eyes. It's the quality of the color, what it brings out in the person, as it's all up to you. And so in the Cahill system, it's a very bespoke way of determining your colors, because we're looking at each individual color that is inherent to you, and then those colors that harmonize with it and really bring out your beauty and your
my beauty.
Yeah, your style and
interesting. So
that you are.
Yeah, when you talk about that, when I learned about seasonal color analysis, it wasn't through the Cahill method or anything, but it was actually back in the 80s. It wasn't actually too long after Suzanne had published her book. Another book became wildly popular in the 1980s, and that was Color Me Beautiful. And many people are familiar with this book, and many people are not.
Right.
Because it had its heyday back in the 80s, and a lot of people came into their consciousness about what color could do for them.
Yeah, because I think the thing that Carol Jackson did that Suzanne Cahill had not done. So she was very well known here in California, actually, But, you know, we didn't have the internet back then. There was no way to disseminate her information other than for people to come to her in her classes, and that's what Carol Jackson did. And then, you know, she was, I think you said, a brilliant marketer. She thought, hey, I can take this concept and I can write a book about it. At that point, Suzanne had not written her book. And she thought, I can promote this and I can train people. And it was a wonderful way of, you know, disseminating the information. The thing that got lost in the process was the deeper understanding of what it meant. It wasn't just about quality of color that connected with the season. There was just so many more layers to what Suzanne taught. But this is a great place where a lot of people got their start. I did too. You know, it was the 1980s. I went and had my colors done. Everybody was doing it. And the problem with this system for me was that it correctly identified me as a spring, but then that was as far as it went. I got you know, some prepackaged colors. You can see what they are, and these colors were supposed to be the colors that a spring would wear, and they were actually way too bright for me. Now, I mean, in my 20s, of course, I could get away with it, but this palette was just too bright, too strong. It overpowered me. So even though there was some truth to the quality of the color, the specific colors didn't work for me. Right. So I put Color Me Beautiful aside and said, oh, that was fun, good party game, and I moved on. But it still bothered me all the time because I guess I knew that somewhere under, you know, somewhere down there was some real good truth in it.
Exactly. And I came about it actually around the same time in 1984, Suzanne, I was going to say that. Carol Jackson actually produced another book, Color for Men. And that was really popular as well. And it was really important for me because I was a teenager. I was buying my clothes for the first time, and I'm looking around with all the stuff in the store, and I couldn't make up my mind. I didn't know what was best for me. And so I thought, well, this will be a secret weapon. I could use it to not only save money and time, because then I know exactly what to get. And in this book, I looked through all the palettes, and I'm like, well, all African Americans usually relate to the winter season, and even if you can see from this, that is not so much, really. No. It did open my awareness to color, and I thought that, you know, there must be something to it. But when you look at all the winter people, what do you notice there? I think there's one person of color right here, and there's an Asian guy over here. But if you don't look like that guy, then I guess you're just out of luck.
Yeah, and I think because of this, and because even in Suzanne's book, the majority of, you know, the examples were Caucasian women and men, I think a lot of people of color or other ethnicities thought, yeah, this doesn't apply to me. And in fact, I had an interesting experience. One of my Asian clients, we were shopping in a store, and I had her color fan, and the clerk came up to us. He was also Asian, and he said, oh, I could wear those colors. And actually he couldn't, you know. And he said, but her and I are the same. And it's like, you may have the same ethnic background, but your coloration is as unique and as particular to you as, you know, it is with Caucasian people who maybe look a little bit less alike. You know, I can have someone who's got different coloring than me, but is also spring. Same as you could have someone different coloring you, or the same coloring as you, but be in autumn or winter, right? Very similar, but very different, yeah.
It's interesting. It's not just the color itself we find later on but the quality, what the quality of the color does to the person.
Yes.
So a person could have very, very similar coloring, but their whole personality and the carriage and everything about them is so different that the colors don't react to them the same way. And that was a revelation to me, because I thought, well, I mean, it's just a matter of just matching colors to people. But it's a little bit more than that. So you have your palette with you, don't you?
I do. So now you can see, you saw my Color Me Beautiful palette, but this is my Cahill palette.
That's beautiful.
And you can just see that although the colors are still clear and light, that they're a little bit softer for me, not quite so bright and harsh, that these colors relate to my coloring, my skin tone and all of that, and my eye color. And so when I wear my palette, you can see that those colors support and reflect me.
Beautiful.
And what about your palette?
Yeah. So here's my palette.
Now you notice, even though I'm a spring, that Darren's palette doesn't really work for me.
Yeah. But they work for me.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So of course I need a little bit stronger coloring because my coloring is a little bit stronger. But the colors are warm and cool because I have both warm and cool. And then also that you can see that this relates to my skin tone. This is my blush tone. These are my neutrals here. And even my hair colors and things like that all come into play.
Yeah, and yet there's still this lightness, clarity to your colors, not as pure and deep as they would be if you were winter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wouldn't wear these in high contrast like that either.
No.
I would wear them in medium contrast because if you look at my coloring, you can see that there's pretty much medium to low contrast. So it's the how your body is designed also relates back to your coloring and how you wear the colors.
Yeah, I think one of the things that was most fascinating to me is, like, for winter, for example, should never wear more than one color at a time. They can wear multiple neutrals, but they should only ever wear one color at a time, because otherwise it doesn't work for them. Whereas spring often looks best in like a triadic combination where we have 3 colors going on at once. It just adds to that lightness and brightness of who we are.
Yeah, exactly. So interesting. Good. So what are some of the benefits of having your colors done?
Well, I think for me, there's lots of benefits, but I think for me the most important one is that it really allows you to be the most authentic version of yourself. So I used to be pretty invisible. As I aged and became an older woman, it's like I could go into a store. I used to dress, by the way, as a summer, even though I'm a spring, because I didn't understand. And I would go into a store and honestly, nobody would even notice me, pay attention to me. But once I started wearing my spring colors, all of a sudden people started seeing me. And I actually have people like stopping on the street and saying, "Oh, you look fabulous. What's your secret?" And the secret is seasonal color analysis. It's like when you dress in yourself, authentic self, you actually get to be seen.
Right.
And then, the other piece of that, the other side of that, is that I start to feel more confident because it's like, this is who I am. I'm not trying to be somebody else.
Exactly. And when we look at the media today and all the advertising that's going on, they're telling us to do everything but be ourselves.
Right.
They're trying to, sell us on to
the
be
latest trend.
Exactly. Yeah. Dress like this influencer or this particular celebrity, or perhaps change your hair color, your eye color, everything about yourself.
Yeah, seriously. You can get contacts that will change your eye color. And celebrities are in a sense chameleons because they change their facial structure, they change their hair color, they often change their eye color. And so they can look like a spring one day and a winter the next. You never know like where they're coming from. And we don't really know who they are. We feel like we know them because we maybe see their character on a movie or something like that, but we really don't get to know them because they're always they're like shift changers, right? They're always
shape changers.
Shape changers, yeah.
Like aliens, really. Yeah.
They're always changing.
And
so
it goes all the way down to cosmetic
right.
surgery, right?
Yes,
Cut your face up and change your nose and change. And this is not about changing anything, really. No. It's really about celebrating who you really are.
Yes. And what I've discovered is that everybody is so beautiful. I mean, you wouldn't look at one tree versus another tree and say, "Oh, this tree is all wrong." You love them both for their individual beauty. Right. And I think that's the thing I love about seasonal color analysis. It allows you to celebrate your own beauty and the beauty of other people.
Yes.
And now I can look at someone who is definitely, way more interesting than I am, and I can appreciate them without having to feel like I need to be that person.
Exactly. And that's really an important thing, is because I think when you start looking outwardly for, how to be, and I think we were all kind of raised like that. When you're young, you look at your older brothers and sisters or your friends or somebody else to tell you who you are. Yeah. And what this does is just bring you right back to yourself so that you can see the beauty in your own self. And a lot of people, it's really difficult for them to do that. They don't really appreciate their skin color, their eye color, or
they don't even know what it is. Sometimes I say,
they don't.
I'm sitting there, I'm looking at someone's eye color and I'm holding up, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, your eye color is amazing." And they're like, "What color are my eyes?" And it's like, really, we don't know ourselves. So yeah, I think that brings back that authenticity. And then also, It allows other people to be less surprised when they meet you, and to not feel disappointed or just not
thrown off
thrown
by
off.
a
Yeah, like,
presentation that's inauthentic,
because
right?
you can see someone who looks like they'd be like a really fun person to be with because of the outfit they're wearing, and then it's just like they're very introverted, they're very quiet, they don't, that really doesn't come out, and so it's like, oh, kind of shocked by that.
And it actually helps to highlight your best features as well, because you may say, I don't know what my eye color is, but guess what? Maybe nobody else does either, because you're not wearing clothes that really bring that out. And the eyes are really important because that's like your authenticity, right? The window to your soul, right? Makes you credible. Your skin tone, when you wear those things, the colors that are based off your skin tone, it makes you open and inviting. It creates intimacy and fellowship.
Yeah, and I think, people would look at you and say, well, you got brown eyes. What's the big secret here? But actually, I'm looking at your eye right now, and I'm seeing this gorgeous, gorgeous blue ring around the eye. Now, who would figure? And yet you see, when Darren is wearing this blue, how much, we're drawn to him, how he sort of comes out. And it's because it's related to that blue around his eye. There are all kinds of colors in the eye that sometimes people aren't even aware are there.
I never even seen blue in my eye.
Right. So this is what
blue eyes.
what seasonal color analysis is all about. It's really so cool. And then, on a more practical basis, I think that it's really hard with all of the marketing that we get to know what to buy that's actually going to look good on us. And so one of the things that I love about seasonal color analysis is it not only tells you what the best colors are to wear, but you learn your line of design that's going to really actually work for you. And that was the craziest thing. I was thinking, like, how could knowing my colors, and season inform like the shape of my collars and all those kinds of things. But Suzanne put all that as part of the package, and that I think is a really cool piece of it. So it means that you make less costly mistakes. I used to buy stuff and I think it was great, and maybe a salesperson talked me into it, or a friend was wearing it and I thought it would look great on me, and I'd bring it home and wear it once and then think, what, this doesn't really feel like me, and then I didn't wear it anymore.
Exactly. And for me, it was a big savings because before, you'd walk into the store and it's kind of a hit or miss. You don't know if what you're going to buy is going to be it's something you're going to keep for a long, long time, or something that you're going to toss out. Because your body just doesn't respond to it, or it just doesn't look good. But now I can go into any store and I can immediately know what's not for me and what it is for me. And make it, so it actually makes it way more fun. And a lot of guys are intimidated by shopping. They really don't like it because they don't want to make mistakes and they don't want to look bad. But when you know what you're doing, you have a plan, and you know what the effect is you're going for, it makes it so much easier.
Yes, and I think even if you really do hate shopping and you're not going to do it for yourself, by having your palette done, you can hand someone your shopping pan and say, these are my colors.
Exactly.
Go find my clothes. And you can even give them the style guidelines and your sizes, and someone else then can readily shop for you, and it's going to be absolutely dead on. Because I don't know if you've ever tried any of those like style boxes that they send you quotes based on, you fill out information, and I've tried a few of them, and they're such a disappointment because
well, they don't know your personality.
They don't know my
and
personality.
They may not know your
understand my coloring or my season, and I can try to explain it to them, but I'll say, okay, I need a soft sagey green, and and then they send me like a pine,
Or they'll send you a sage of green, but it may be too much gold in it.
Or too gray.
Exactly. Some other undertone that you really didn't want it. And it's really hard to see when you're just looking at a catalog.
But I can take a client's fan and go shopping for them and just be like bam on.
Spot on.
Because I know.
And when you have it done personally by a person who does style and color analysis in person, then they get to see your personality, and then they know exactly, okay, now we know what your goals are and how your body is and all those things. It's very personal. It's like a bespoke service, really.
Yeah, and sometimes it's interesting because people will go like, I don't know how to cut my hair, so I have to go to a hairdresser. And I don't know how to do my taxes, quite honestly, so I hire an accountant
Welcome to
do
the
that.
party.
But people somehow feel like they should know how to dress themselves. Like,
Yeah.
I actually had clients saying, I'm like really embarrassed to have to come to you because it's like admitting that I don't know how to dress myself. And it's like, well, who would have taught you? This isn't something we learn in school.
No.
I know that my mom, try as she might, she was not like a great dresser. And she never really understood her winter personality until many, many years later. And so she wasn't the best fashion guide for me. And, so I was just learning from magazines and books, but none of them knew me.
Exactly.
They're just talking in generalities. And it's like, oh, everybody needs a crisp white shirt, in their wardrobe and a pair of black pants. And, you put that high contrast on me and all, I look like the waiter. It's like, waitress over here. So we just don't have that, and so there's no shame in, and in fact, it's like a fun thing to do. I found getting my colors done and learning about my personal style and going shopping with my stylist. It was just like so much fun.
Yeah, and you learn a lot about your own personality even, and your habits and things, and it's kind of an eye-opening. It's really a journey, and everybody should do it, I think.
Yeah.
So if you haven't done it, why haven't you done it?
Why exactly?
Well, maybe because they don't know it. So our information is in the box below. Please check it out, and we would love to get in contact. We'd love to work with you. My name is Darren Chappell. My website is Styles Prescription, and this is Joan Kosminchuk of joankosminchuk.com. And my question to you is, if you haven't got your colors done, why haven't you? And my motto is, don't just show up, arrive.